The story begins with a queen walking through the beautiful gardens of her castle. The entire garden is covered in snow, pure white in every direction. But then, she notices something unusual, a single red rose blooming, fighting against the cold and snow, all on its own. As the queen reaches out to pluck the rose, a thorn pricks her finger. 3 drops of blood fall onto the white snow. The contrast fascinates her. She is pregnant, and in that moment, she makes a wish that her child will have lips as red as blood, skin as white as snow, hair as black as a raven's wings, and a heart strong enough to stand against evil, just like that rose fighting the cold. Not long after, the queen gives birth to a beautiful baby girl. Her wish comes true in every way. She names her Snow White. Time passes, and Snow White grows a little older. But sadly, the queen falls ill and soon dies from a mysterious sickness. Her death breaks both the king and the entire kingdom. The king loved her deeply. During this dark time, the kingdom is suddenly attacked by a mysterious army made of black crystal. The king bravely leads his soldiers into battle and manages to defeat them. After the victory, his men inform him that the army had a prisoner, a young woman. When the king sees her, he is instantly captivated. Within days, he marries her. But that woman is not who she seems. She is Ravenna, the queen of the Dark Army, a powerful sorceress of black magic. The entire attack was part of her plan to infiltrate the kingdom and trap the king. On their very first night, Ravenna kills the king. Then she opens the gates and lets her dark army into the castle. Within moments, the kingdom falls. Her soldiers spread chaos and destruction everywhere. Meanwhile, Snow White tries to escape with her childhood friend William and his father. But Ravenna's brother captures her, and she is locked away in the castle's northern tower. As the years pass, the once beautiful kingdom begins to decay. The land turns barren, trees wither away, and life slowly fades. All of this is caused by Ravenna's dark magic. Over time, Snow White grows into a young woman, but Ravenna remains young and beautiful. That's because she steals the youth and beauty of other women to maintain her power. Years later, Ravenna asks her magic mirror the same question she always does: who is the fairest of them all? And every time, the mirror gives the same answer: you are. But this time, things are different. The mirror tells her that once she was the fairest, but now Snow White has grown, and her beauty surpasses Ravenna's. Because of this, Ravenna's power is beginning to fade. The mirror also reveals something terrifying. One day, Snow White will be the reason for her downfall. However, there is a way to stop it. If Ravenna takes Snow White's heart, she can restore her power and become invincible again. You see, Ravenna's magic depends on her being the most beautiful woman in the world. And now that Snow White has surpassed her, she is slowly losing everything. Furious, Ravenna calls her brother and orders him to bring Snow White's heart. Her brother goes to the tower where Snow White is imprisoned. For the first time, he steps inside her cell. Snow White looks at him and says, "You've never come in here before. What do you want?" He replies coldly, "My sister wants your heart." But before he can harm her, Snow White fights back. She manages to escape from her cell, grabs a horse, and flees the castle. Ravenna's soldiers chase her, trying to capture her again, but it's too late. Snow White rides straight into the dark forest, a place where Ravenna's powers don't work. And because of that, her soldiers refuse to follow her inside. Inside the dark forest, Snow White starts hearing strange, haunting voices. The deeper she goes, the more terrifying everything becomes. Surrounded by bizarre and creepy creatures, she gets overwhelmed and eventually collapses, unconscious. When Ravenna finds out that Snow White has escaped into the dark forest, she becomes furious. She yells at her brother and orders him to find someone, anyone, who can go into the forest and bring Snow White back. Because inside the dark forest, Ravenna's powers don't work. Following her orders, a warrior named Eric the Huntsman is brought to the palace. He's one of the few people who has entered the dark forest before and survived. Ravenna commands him to bring Snow White back, but Eric refuses. He tells her that the dark forest is too dangerous, and if Snow White went in there, she's probably already dead. Ravenna doesn't care. She wants Snow White, or her heart, at any cost. So she makes him an offer: if you bring her back, I'll bring your dead wife back to life. Eric loved his wife deeply, and because of that, he can't refuse. He agrees and sets out into the dark forest with Ravenna's brother and a group of soldiers. Since Eric knows the forest well, he quickly finds Snow White. Snow White pleads with him, "Don't take me back to Ravenna, she's lying to you." Hearing this, Eric turns to Ravenna's brother and says, "First, Ravenna brings my wife back. Then I'll hand Snow White over." But Ravenna's brother reveals the truth. "My sister may have great power, but she can't bring the dead back. She lied to you." Hearing this, Eric snaps. Enraged, he attacks them, killing all the soldiers. Ravenna's brother barely manages to escape with his life. After this, Snow White asks Eric to take her somewhere safe, to the castle of her childhood friend William's father. She believes she'll be protected there. Eric isn't the kind of man who works for free. But when Snow White promises him 100 gold coins, he agrees to help her. In the next scene, we meet William, now grown into a skilled warrior and an excellent archer. When his father tells him that Snow White has escaped, William immediately sets out to find her. On the way, he encounters Ravenna's brother and his soldiers. He stops them and asks, "Looking for an archer?" Ravenna's brother isn't interested. He orders one of his men to kill William, but William easily dodges the attack and with perfect aim, takes the soldier down. Impressed by his skill, Ravenna's brother decides to recruit him instead, and together, they continue the hunt for Snow White. Meanwhile, Eric and Snow White come face to face with a giant creature inside the forest. Eric tries to fight it, but it's useless. The monster overpowers him and knocks him down. Just before the creature can kill him, Snow White steps in front of it and screams. As she looks directly into its eyes, something unexpected happens. The creature calms down and walks away. After this, Snow White and Eric finally make their way out of the dark forest. Outside, near a river, they encounter a group of women armed with bows and arrows. The women question them about where they came from. Eric tells them they're fleeing from Queen Ravenna. Hearing this, the women take them to their village. Once there, Snow White and Eric realize something disturbing. There are no men in the village. All the men were taken by Ravenna to serve in her army. And the women, they have deliberately scarred their own faces, just to protect themselves, so Ravenna would never steal their beauty. After reaching the village, Eric realizes the truth. Snow White is the princess. Now that she's safe with the village women, Eric decides to leave. But the moment he steps outside, everything changes. Ravenna's brother arrives with his soldiers, setting the village on fire and spreading destruction everywhere. Seeing the flames, Eric turns back. He rushes into the village and takes Snow White with him again, determined to protect her at any cost. Meanwhile, we see Ravenna, who is now growing weaker with time. She remembers her childhood, when a king once came to claim her. Back then, her mother made her drink a mysterious mixture of her own blood and handed her a magic mirror, saying, "Your beauty will be your greatest weapon and your protection." That same mirror is still with Ravenna, and her mother's words prove true. Her beauty made her powerful and untouchable, turning her into the queen of a vast kingdom. But there's one condition: her dark powers only work as long as she remains the most beautiful woman in the world. And now, Snow White has surpassed her. That's why Ravenna is slowly losing her strength. On the other side, Snow White and Eric continue their journey through the forest. Suddenly, they step into a hidden trap, and both of them are lifted into the air, hanging upside down from a tree. Moments later, a group of dwarves appears. They were the ones who set the trap. The dwarves usually capture travelers passing through and rob them. But when they find nothing valuable on Snow White and Eric, they decide to kill them instead. Snow White speaks up and asks, "Why don't you fight against Ravenna?" The dwarves reply that they gave up fighting after their king died. Hearing this, Snow White reveals the truth. "I am your king's daughter, your princess." The dwarves don't believe her at first and laugh it off, but then a blind dwarf steps forward and says she carries royal blood, and one day she will be the end of Ravenna. After hearing this, the dwarves decide to free them. They guide Snow White and Eric through secret caves and lead them to a hidden place, a magical fairy forest, which they believe is completely safe. But the safety doesn't last long. The very next morning, Ravenna's brother arrives with his soldiers, tracking Snow White down once again. Snow White, Eric, and the dwarves are forced to flee. During this chaos, William, who had joined Ravenna's army just to find Snow White, finally reaches her. Snow White recognizes him instantly and is overjoyed to see her childhood friend again. At the same time, Eric and Ravenna's brother engage in a brutal fight. Ravenna's brother has the upper hand until he makes a mistake. He reveals that he was the one who killed Eric's wife. Hearing this, Eric is filled with rage. With all his strength, he pushes Ravenna's brother backward, right onto a broken tree where sharp wooden spikes pierce through his back. The pain is unbearable. At the same time, Ravenna feels her brother's pain through their connection. He calls out to her telepathically, begging her to save him, but Ravenna refuses. She tells him to forgive her because she's too weak now to help him. And just like that, he dies. After this, Snow White, William, Eric, and the dwarves continue their journey toward William's father's castle. That night, while everyone is asleep, Snow White quietly walks into the snowy forest alone. After a while, William joins her. The two of them talk about their childhood, and for a brief moment, in the middle of all the chaos, they finally feel a sense of peace again. William then offers Snow White an apple. Trusting him, she happily takes a bite, but that turns out to be her biggest mistake. The apple is poisoned, and as soon as she eats it, her body begins to weaken, because the person she thought was William wasn't William at all. It was Ravenna, disguised as him. She had come only to trick Snow White and make her eat the poisoned apple. Just as Ravenna is about to cut out Snow White's heart, Eric and the real William arrive while searching for her. With no choice left, Ravenna transforms into a swarm of black crows and escapes. Seeing Snow White in that condition, both Eric and William are devastated. William, who truly loves her, kisses her, hoping to wake her, but nothing happens. Snow White is then taken to William's father's castle. Later, Eric enters her room and quietly says, "You remind me of my wife." By now, even Eric has fallen in love with Snow White. That's why he stayed by her side, to protect her. Before leaving, Eric gently kisses her, and this time, something changes. A tear rolls down one of Snow White's eyes, just like it did earlier when William kissed her, because both of them truly loved her, and it's that true love that finally breaks Ravenna's curse. Snow White slowly comes back to life. Everyone is overjoyed to see her awake again. Now stronger than ever, Snow White gathers the people and soldiers at the castle and says, "We will attack Ravenna and end this. Only I can defeat her." Everyone believes in the prophecy and in her. Together, they march toward Ravenna's castle. A massive battle breaks out between the two sides. Amid the chaos, Snow White finally reaches Ravenna. Ravenna has regained her youth and beauty by draining countless young women, but even that won't save her now. The final fight begins. At first, Ravenna overpowers Snow White and badly injures her. She moves in to kill her, raising her blade to strike. But at the last moment, Snow White dodges the attack and strikes back. This time, Ravenna is the one who falls, defeated and finally dead. With Ravenna gone, the curse over the land is lifted. Life returns, greenery spreads once again, and happiness fills the kingdom. So in the end, Snow White didn't just reclaim her kingdom. She proved that true strength comes from courage, kindness, and never giving up against darkness. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more epic movie recaps like this.